right. Yesterday we started dealing with angle addition and subtraction. What I suggest to you, and unless you want to memorize them, you put those 6 formulas on your sheet, so you know what angle addition and subtractions you have: a sine, cosine, and tangent. You still have the reciprocal functions to go with them. Let's see here. We will take a look at a few of the problems today. If you take a look at problem number, you had 21, 20. If we take a look at 24. 24, we have the cosine of A plus B. Bless you. Now, the diagram, once again, we dealt with yesterday, was a diagram that you can use for 21 to 24. Even though you have less than and greater than, I will simplify things and I will tell you which quadrant these things will go into. Okay, so you won't have to figure out less than and greater than. I will tell you the quadrant. Angle A was in quadrant 1. We're given the cosine of angle A is in quadrant 1, and the sine of angle A is 1/2. Which is defined to us as opposite over hypotenuse. So opposite is our 1, hypotenuse is our 2. We have our good old buddy Pythagoras. We have our good old buddy Pythagoras we can utilize to be able to find our third side here. And we should come down to the square root of 3 with that. Okay, we have 1 squared plus x squared is equal to 2 squared. 1 squared plus x squared equals 2 squared. We can subtract our 1 to the other side. We get x squared equals 4, or x squared is equal to 3, and then square root of that. We are given that angle B. And once again, I will tell you the quadrants. I won't make you figure this out. Angle B is in quadrant number 3. The tangent is 3/4, which is once again defined to us as opposite over adjacent. So opposite is 3, adjacent is 4. We have a 3, 4, 5 triangle. I will try to keep them in 3, 4, 5s or Pythagorean triple triangles. 5, 12, 13 is another one I use a lot. Now, the one thing that you have to watch out for this one is I go to the left and I go downwards with 2 of my sides, so I need to make sure I get my negatives in there. Okay, always check. First one is the cosine of A plus B. So the first thing that you should do is when you're asked to do this, do not try to do too many things at one time, because if you do too many things at one time, you will get confused. Slow the process down, write out in terms of A's and B's the cosine of A plus B. So in terms of A and B, write out. So look at your formulas, write it out. What is the cosine of A plus B? No, just write it down. Just write it down. What is the cosine of A plus B? Once again, do not worry about substituting numbers in yet. Just write out and expand out. And what you should have there is cosine A times the cosine of B minus the sine of A times the sine of B. So this is asking you to find 4 trig ratios here. 4 trig ratios. So let's get our fractions down here. Looking at our triangle. What is the cosine of A in our triangle? Write your fraction down here. What is the cosine of B? Look at the triangle. Write your ratio down. What is the sine of A? From our triangle, what is our sine of B? So you should have 4 ratios that you're writing down. Once again, if you need your trigonometric guardian, you write it down. You have it there. Sine is opposite of our hypotenuse. Cosine is adjacent of our hypotenuse. Tangent is opposite of our adjacent. Brandon, what's the cosine of A? What's the cosine of B? Okay, just looking at our triangles. What is the sine of A, Coy?
1, 2.
And what's the sine of B?
-3/5.
Okay, so you get your ratios down. Now we do the mathematical problem that they're asking us to do. Okay, they're asking us to multiply and subtract. So you follow your orders of operations, multiplication, division first. Well, I'm going to multiply my first 2 fractions together. I'm going to multiply my second 2 fractions together. How do I multiply fractions? Multiply the 2 tops, multiply the 2 bottoms. Well, I can't really do anything with the first one here except for just rewriting it -4 square root of 3. Okay, I cannot do any more combinations except for 4 times square root of 3. 2 times 5 is 10. Minus, multiply your 2 tops, multiply your 2 bottoms. So we should have -3 over 10. And then we can rewrite this as just 1 fraction over 1 denominator. So we can put it over 10. Let's see here, minus a negative. When we have minus a negative here, that turns into a positive. So we have -4 square root of 3 plus 3. That's all we can do with it. We take a look at 33. They want us to find the sine of 75 degrees. This goes back to what we talked about yesterday. You have 2 triangles that you can find exact values for. One's a 30-60, one is a 45-45. We have 30-60, 45-45. Once again, these 2 triangles, hopefully, you know our ratios for the 3 values for a 30-60 and a 45. We have 1 square root of 2. 30-60, 1 2 square root of 3. 1's across on the 30, 2 on the hypotenuse, square root of 3 across on the 60. So what we can do and find exact values for are 30, 45, and 60. So what we want to do is we want to find 2 of those numbers that we can either add together or subtract to get 75. Victoria, what can we do?
30 and 45.
30 and 45, we can do what with them?
Add them.
Add them. So we have the sine of 30 plus 45, because that is equal to 75. Well, here is my A, Here's my B. So expand out sine A plus B. Expand it out. Okay, look at your formula. Using only A's and B's, expand out sine of A plus B. Hopefully you're starting to realize the benefit to having a sheet there that you can just slide down and find it rather than start trying to find it through your notes. Sine of A plus B. Just write it out using sines and cosines and A's and B's. Don't try to do anything spectacular here. Don't do any substitutions yet. We don't need to be a homework hero here. Just slow your brain down. Don't become impatient. Have patience as you go through the problems, and as you'll learn in mathematics, as you get older and older and your mathematics gets a little bit more involved, you have to be patient as you do with the problem. You have to have patience as you go through the problem. You can't just snap and just quickly get through the problem. Have some patience. So we should have sine A cosine B plus cosine A sine B. Now, your A is your 30, your B is your 45. So I usually typically just write them above. And now you go to your triangles again. What is this? You find your four ratios from your triangles. What is the sine of A? What is the cosine of B? Now remember, when you have 1 over square root of 2, you can rationalize that to square root of 2 over 2. And I suggest that you do that. Okay, rather than say, okay, that's 1 over square root of 2. Go ahead and rationalize it. And hopefully we've done this enough. Hopefully we've done enough where you have 1 over square root of 2. That will click in your brain. I need to rationalize that to square root of 2 over 2. Okay, that's advancing yourself mathematically a little bit. Sine of 30 is what, Zach? 1/2. Sine, cosine 45?
1 over square root of 2.
Which rationalizes? 1 over square root of 2 rationalizes to what? Were you listening to what I talked about up here? Yes. What does 1 over square root of 2 rationalize to, Matthew? Folks, pay attention to what I'm talking about up here. We have 1 over square root of 2. Rationalizes to what? What we have, Gavin? No. You don't need a calculator. What does it rationalize to? Dallas? Square root of 2 over 2. We have 1 over square root of 2. We can watch so you see. You have 1 over square root of 2. So we multiply top and bottom both by square root of 2. That's what is called rationalization. When we rationalize, we get the radical out of the denominator. Okay? Algebra 1, algebra 2. So we have square root of 2 over 2. When you come down to this as a solution. It should kick into your brain. 1 over square root of 2 gives me square root of 2 over 2. That's something that we have done numerous times. You should not have to sit there and go, okay, now, how do I rationalize this again? No, we've been there. We've done that. It should not be, oh, let's pull out the magic wand. What is he doing up there? He's pulling out black magic. He's gone and getting some pixie dust from Tinkerbell. And he's creating this new mathematics. I have no idea what he's doing. He's creating all this new mathematics. Because that's what the look is. And it shouldn't be. You've been through 3 years of mathematics here in high school. You should know how to rationalize a radical. Cosine 30. What else? Cosine of 30 here, Kendall. We have the sine of 45. Zach, what do we have? Sine of 45.
Square root of 2 over 2.
There you go. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. 1 over square root of 2, which kicks into our brain. Square root of 2 over 2. Very good. We learned something today. Hopefully. Okay, we multiply and then we add. Well, we multiply here. 1 times square root of 2. 2 times 2 is 4. Square root of 3 times square root of 2, Matthew, gives us what? How'd you get 5? How'd you get 6? Multiply what? Can I sell you a square root? Can I sell you a square root? Can you just tell me square root of 3 times square root of 2 gives me 6? Can I sell you a square root with that? The square root of 3 times the square root of 2 equals what? Well, you should know. Owen, was it equal? We don't know what the square root of 3 times square root of 2 equals. Where were you guys at in algebra? Gavin, what's it equal? Square root of 6. Using a property. If I have square root of A times square root of B is equal to the square root of A times B. Guess we should have paid a little bit more attention in algebra. So we have square root of 6 over 2 times 2, which is 4. Woo. Let's take a look. 45, 48. Let's take a look at 45. Now, the one thing I will do for you is I won't put any of these problems in radians and x. Okay, I will keep everything in theta degree form, which will make it a little bit easier for you. So number 45. We have the cosine of theta times, let's see here, 180 divided by 5, 36. Yeah. Minus sine theta sine 36 is equal to the square root of 3 over 2. We want to solve for 2 general solutions of theta. 2 general solutions. So what we are going to do here is we're going to take a look at what's on the right-hand side of those angle addition formulas that we did yesterday. And we're going to move that back to the left. where our theta is our A and our 36 is our B. So we're going to move it from the right-hand side of all those formulas back to the left-hand side. So we're going from right to left. Well, which one is cosine A times the cosine of B minus the sine of A times the sine of B? Which one do we have there? Which one do we have there? London? Cosine of A plus B. If we would just, if you look at cosine of A plus B, you don't have to write this step out. I'm just writing it out for you. It says it's cosine A times the cosine of B minus sine A times the sine of B. Okay, that's what we have here. Cosine, cosine minus sine, sine. That gives us back to cosine A minus B. Well, what we're talking about here is your A is theta, your B is 36. So we want to take it from this back to here. So we can rewrite this as the cosine of, well, my A value we said is theta. My B value is 36. And this is equal to the square root of 3 over 2. We have cosine of theta is equal to 36, or plus 36, is equal to square root of 3 over 2. We want to solve for the two general solutions of theta. Well, what's connected to the theta is we have cosine there and we have the 36. Well, the question is, well, how do we get rid of the cosine, Trenton? Inverse cosine. Just went through that. So we can take the inverse cosine. Inverse cosine. So in your calculator, we can clickety-clack through. Inverse cosine, make sure you quantify. It's going to give you a front parenthesis. Make sure you watch your parentheses here. We have the inverse cosine of the square root of 3 over 2. Make sure you close your parentheses out or pull out of the radical if you need to pull out of the radical. So we're doing the inverse cosine of the square root of 3 over 2. Once again, make sure you watch your parentheses or pull out the radical. Because some of your calculators will give you a parenthesis there, and you already have a parenthesis here. So you need to close that parenthesis out, and then divide by 2, and then close that parenthesis out. Okay? Or it will give you this. You have square root of 3. Then you have to use your right arrow to pull out of the radical and divide by 2. So it depends on which calculator you have. Some of you have to use your right arrow to pull out of the radical. Some of you will have to close parentheses out. Anyways, either case, what do you come up with, Kaylee? 0.52? Inverse cosine? 30? Okay, inverse cosine, the square root of 3 over 2, you get 30. Okay? But we just did the inverse cosine. We did our calculator value. Our calculator is called the what? The principal value. So we came down to the calculator, which is the principal value, but we also have to worry about is what? Inverse cosine, principal value, and its what other value? We just did the test on the principal values. You have two choices. Principal value and its supplement, or principal value and its opposite. Which one is it? Opposite. Inverse cosine, you have opposite. So we have theta plus 36 is equal to negative 30. In all cases here, we can subtract 36, subtract 36, subtract 36, subtract 36. So we have theta is equal to -6 plus or minus the period n. Over here, theta is equal to -66 plus or minus the period n. Our coefficient of theta is 1. So our b value is 1. So if the b value is 1, what is the period? Chloe? 360. So we have plus or minus 360 n. I will only ask you for the general solutions with these. All right, let's take a look at the worksheet. Okay, on the front side, we have to find the sine, cosine, tangent, secant, cosecant, cotangent of angle addition subtractions. Now, before we do that, what we need to do is get a picture down so it describes what our angles are, A and B. So what I would suggest to do in the upper left-hand corner here, because all these problems are going to refer to the exact same triangle, so you should not have to do it each time. We're going to go in the upper left-hand corner here. We got quadrant number 1 and quadrant number 2. So in quadrant, cosine of angle A is -4/5 in quadrant 2. These are the instructions I'm going to give you and types of problems I'm going to give you on a test. So it tells me angle A is in quadrant number 2. Cosine of angle A is -4/5, so put where you need to put where. Cosine is defined to us as adjacent over hypotenuse. What is our third side? What's the opposite side? 3. Opposite side is the value 3. 3, 4, 5 triangle. Sine of angle B in quadrant number 1. So in quadrant number 1, I'm going to draw angle B. And the sine of that angle is 5/13. So where do I put where? The sine is 5/13. Sine is defined as opposite over hypotenuse. And what's our third side here? 12. Very quickly, let's look at problem number 4. Secant of A plus B. We don't have a secant formula, but we have cosine. Secant of A plus B is equal to 1 over cosine of A plus B. So whenever you find this value, when you get done, you can just reciprocate it. So we have the cosine of A plus B that we now get off our formula sheet. we have cosine A, cosine B, minus sine A, sine B, and we just start finding our values up there. Cosine of A, negative 4 over 5. Cosine of B, 12 over 13. Sine of A, 3 over 5. Sine of B, 5 over 13. Okay, we multiply. Negative 48 over 65 minus 15 over 65. Just multiplying our two tops and our two bottoms. So we have negative 48 minus 15 over 65. So we have negative 63 over 65. Now this is the cosine of A plus B. To find our secant, all we have to do, flip it over. So we have negative 65 over 63. Okay, the backside here, just very quickly, the backside, you're just solving equations like we did this last one over here. Okay, we're just solving equations. So put your A's and B's above your angles, get your formula. Solutions are posted for you. See you on Tuesday. Don't burn your eyes out on Monday.